I am Ron Burgundy.
Can't say
Welcome
that
to
stuff.
episode 5 for our 16 subscribers.
We're at 5?
Episode 5.
Oh my god.
I know.
Who and look at us. Who thought we'd get this far?
Hey man,
All
I've
the
got a
doubters.
fan mail today to read.
Writing yourself a letter and reading it on the podcast does not constitute fan mail, so
You're right. I was going to just actually have a blank piece of paper to make it seem like I had fan mail. But hey, let's start off this episode by checking in with you, buddy. How are things in Middle Tennessee after that crazy week of weather?
I'm alive. That's all that really matters. So everything else is just noise. Who cares? I'm alive. But no, the storms were bad out west, like West Tennessee, and then there was like a handful of storms that kind of just like rolled through like a couple straight days. But for some reason, like right where we were was like a nice little pocket. Like a lot of the storms went north of us, and then a couple of them went right south of us. So we had some rain and stuff, but the majority of the damage kind of like went either north or south of us. So it's fine by me. I didn't care. I have a
Yeah,
different mindset though.
I saw a Doppler, like the storm path, and it was crazy because all the storm, the purple and the reds, all the precipitation, all that stuff was kind of following towards the Mississippi River,
Yeah.
and you could see this line, but it was going diagonal to where it was like Spring Hill wasn't getting hit, but then
Yeah.
Franklin was. It almost like wrapped around.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
what I
mean?
mean. It was like it was totally. It was just like things just either went like right north of us just because of the wind, or they were just like staying south. So for some reason, there's a weird pocket of. I guess they knew from last time after we were the only city that got the tornado. They're like, all right, they get a break. We're gonna
We
hit
almost
everywhere
had
else
one.
now. Well, almost is whatever, but we actually had one. So yeah, but no, I have a different mindset when it comes to that stuff. I just there's nothing I can do. I'm in my house. I can't go anywhere else. If a tornado comes directly over me, it's like of all the land on the earth, if I'm standing in the one wrong spot and I just chose to be here by circumstance, and it's like I had a good run. I made it 30 years. That's pretty good. It's like
My time
whatever.
is up.
Like yeah, it's like if it's my time, it's like there's nothing else I can do. I can't worry about it. I get ample time and I go hide in whatever. If we have a shelter, if I go hide in an interior bathroom or closet or whatever, it's like that's it. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can do.
Reminds me of the movie Twister. Like, do you have one of those big belts, almost like a cinch strap for like your gear for a horse, and you can just like cinch yourself to your like PG&E meter or your electrical meter outside?
No, I'm better at holding on to like theater seats while like 400-mile-an-hour winds are pulling me, and I'm able to just hold on to a seat and just somehow survive for like 5 minutes while just and the bolts in that seat are somehow just made of some sort of material that we don't know exists yet.
Dude, you're getting hands down if you're in a tornado. Doesn't matter. Like, I know that movie's super fake. It's Hollywood, but you're having stuff flying everywhere. You're getting impaled by something, like shrapnel
You're
everywhere.
not hang, you're not hanging on. You don't have the body strength to hang on to anything like that. That's
No,
insane. You're
no,
gone. And first of all, the thing you're holding on to is gone too.
pretty much.
If it's not the foundation of that building, it's probably out unless it's like a low category. But no, that movie was you and we saw that movie and no, it
The
wasn't for me.
I saw it again, and I don't know whether it was the Coors Light fogging my vision, but
Yeah,
it wasn't that bad.
yeah, you were probably drunk
Oh, it's not
because
my fault.
it wasn't good. The old one's okay. The new one was just it was weird. But yeah, so yeah, we long story short is we survived. So we're here
Good.
and we'll see another season of storms next year, I guess. I mean, there'll
So I have
probably be
somewhere to
more,
stay
but
on Saturday when I come to your house.
yeah, that bedroom is still here, thankfully. So you got somewhere to sleep. If not, you can sleep outside. It's all good.
I'll sleep in the
It's,
kennel.
that works. I'll clean one out for you. Get it
Mm.
nice and ready. Get you a nice little water bowl.
I need a blanket though, like a towel folded.
You're asking for a lot.
I know.
We'll see if I can spare a blanket from the actual. I gotta, make sure the dogs. Okay, I wonder if I hope you can't hear this. My freaking phone's going off and it's
We can hear it.
going off on the computer. Well, I don't have a way to turn that off, so
Episode 5. It's all right.
we're still learning, all the quirks of this thing. But when I do
So
it, I'm
while we're on the
doing
topic
computer.
of dogs here, we haven't really
Yeah,
gotten much into dog questions. I'm going to defer here. I had a couple questions for you, some things that were on my mind. I watch a lot of your videos, obviously, watching how you train. I don't get all the tips and tricks of how you train, but I get to see a lot of just like the growth of the dogs as they're with you for a period of time.
yep.
I noticed that when you got newer dogs, that there was something that you didn't do that I think that a lot of people that are new to dog ownership, they do, which I think is incorrect. So I want to see if I can run this by you. When you're teaching your dog a basic sit command, right? The old school kind of way or way of thinking is that you tell your dog to sit, you give them the verbal command, and then you push their butt down. But I've noticed with you that even when you're like training with the downs, you don't touch them.
No, no. So I mean, there are some dogs where like you have like it's very rare where like you need to apply like even like a barrier or like sometimes people that like I've other trainers that I respect that do well like they'll sit down and they'll use their leg like as a barrier and they'll kind of lure their dog like under their leg and it kind of forces the dog to go down. But the best way to teach a dog a behavior is to have them do it fully on their own without any other physical, you know, interaction. So if I can get a dog to lay down just by either, you know, a toy, food, whatever, then they're fully committing that behavior with their body on their own. Obviously, I'm luring them to teach them how to do it, but I'm not. If I shove a dog to the ground and say down, all it learns is that, okay, when that guy says that word, I get pushed to the ground. It doesn't teach them that, oh, I'm going to the ground. It's, okay, so when that guy says that, he ends up pushing me down. It's not teaching them anything. All it's really doing is forcing them into a behavior that you want them to do. And I mean, yeah, I guess if you're like rough enough or if you like force a dog enough, they'll probably, I hate to use the word, but you're beating them into submission essentially. They're just like kind of giving in. And they'll do it, but they'll be very reluctant. Like you can kind of tell when a dog like doesn't really want to do it or it's just like continually getting corrected. Like they just kind of like meanderly go down versus a dog that's fully choosing to go down on their own based off of reward. So yeah, I try to be as little involved as possible. And so like one of the dogs I have now, the Doodle, he absolutely hated laying down. He wouldn't do it. So I pretty much just I have a couple videos of me where I'm just like on my knees, he's on the cot, and I'm just like moving the food around, moving it between his legs, moving it, pulling it back, and just trying to get him to start moving his body until he was able to get his elbows all the way down. And then it's a big, big reward, tons of reward to teach them, like, okay, if you do this thing that you're clearly not wanting to do, or maybe not understanding what I'm wanting you to do, because sometimes it's not that they don't want to do it. Sometimes until they know how to do it, they don't know how to do it, right? And some dogs are just smarter than others. Some dogs just don't know what you're asking for. So if you don't take the time to give them the opportunity to do it, then you're just forcing them into something and they're not really learning. It's kind of like doing someone's homework for them. It's like, yeah, they're probably going to get the right answer at the end and they may have picked something up along the way, but they didn't do any of it. So there's not any real learning going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so to back up at the beginning, you were talking about luring the dog. Do you mean like if I were to take a treat and kind of like put it up to its like muzzle and then lower it to the ground, like showing them you're like luring them down?
Yeah, you
Is that what you
lure
mean?
them into you're luring them into a behavior that you want. So same thing with like sit, right? You put a treat at their nose and you kind of pull it up really fast, or you put it above their head so it kind of forces them to lean back and it kind of puts them into a sit. Same thing.
So what about
Basically,
like those dogs? Like those dogs you see on TV, like they're kind of like Jack Russell Terriers, the ones that are kind of freakishly energetic, and they'll
hmm
teach them like to die, or like you shoot them with a gun and they lay down. Like how do
yeah,
you lure a dog into playing dead?
it's all just bit by bit, like muscle by muscle, right? So you have to teach them how to lay down, and then eventually you're basically taking the treat and you're trying to like have them like roll. So once they roll a little bit, like they get like if they're trying to roll this way, the second they get this paw off the ground, you ward them, give them treat, and then you eventually just go a little bit further. They go a little bit further back. You keep going, and then eventually you get them all the way onto their back, and then you just reward them when they get on their back, and then once they get onto their back, you like hold the treat for a second, hold it, and then you give it to them, and then you just increase that duration where they have to lay on their back until they get the reward, until eventually you can work it into the fact where you tell them to, bang or dead or whatever, they roll over, they wait, and they wait, and they wait until you give them that word, and then that's when their reward is. But it's all just, you can't just teach a dog to play dead if it doesn't know how to lay down. So it's all just behavior by behavior, and you really have to have a dog that has somewhat of a play drive food,
Yeah.
threshold, because if it's a dog that doesn't want to do anything, you're going to have a very, very hard time. So those dogs, yeah, they have so much drive and they just want to work. So it's like teaching them it's not that it's not difficult, it's just the process goes much faster because they just want to keep going and they want to learn.
Oh, we just got a message from Debbie in Somewheresville on the fan mail just pinged me, and Debbie wants to know, Jared, would this type of training work on children?
Mm-hmm. It
Okay,
does, yeah.
you hear that,
It
Debbie?
does.
Get your kids to eat those peas.
All the time. People ask me after we're done training the dog, when I explain everything, we're doing the whole thing, and they ask, do you do, training for our children? And I just say the rates for that are much different. So it's going to cost a lot more. So, but no, I stick with dogs. They're a lot easier. They don't talk back. They don't really
Here's another
have a.
question. Another question for you. I've seen this video before, but maybe not everyone. When I say everyone, I mean the 16 people minus the four that are us and our different handles. So the 12 people that might actually watch this, they might not have seen your previous, not podcasts, but just reels that you've made for Tennessee Dog Dynamics. My question is this: if you're a family, say you have two small kids, younger than 5 years old, you're in a single family kind of like residential home, you got a backyard, what would you recommend as like the number one type of dog? Or actually, let me back up for a second. Before you even say number one type of dog, what what types of behaviors should someone who's getting a dog for the first time be looking for with small kids?
That's hard because there is no perfect dog, because every dog can have messed up genetics, behavioral issues. There is no perfect breed, otherwise we probably would just breed that one. Um, Really, it's more of your lifestyle. That's what I tell people. It's like, if you have, it depends on your household size, how active you are, how much effort you want to or are able to put into the dog's everyday life, how much, you know, how much money are you going to be able to spend on their medical expenses, because some dogs are going to have medical issues because their breeds are horrible about that. So there's just a number of different things. So there really isn't a perfect breed. I mean, the golden answer is golden retriever, just because they statistically are typically very friendly. They're typically good with kids. They typically, like, they have puppy energy, but they eventually kind of get to a baseline where they're able to kind of have a normal dog life where they still will go out and play with your kids, but they'll eventually kind of conk out. Um, you're really just looking for a dog that suits your life. Like if you have a smaller apartment and you're living in a smaller area with a small yard, probably shouldn't get a Great Dane or a Malinois or something that requires a lot of space area. If you live out on a bunch of land and you want your dog to be out running with you guys next on the side by side, probably don't get an English bulldog. Like, get something that can keep up with your lifestyle. You want to go out, you want to be running. So it's really more catered to who you are and what you want to do. And the last thing that people should be looking for when they're getting a dog is how the dog looks. And that's
Yeah.
usually the number one thing, is they say, I like the way that dog looks. And I always tell people that's the worst thing you should go off of when you're picking a dog. It means nothing. I'll take a dog that it doesn't have the show look or whatever, but if it has good genetics and good temperament, and it's some even doesn't have to have the craziest drive, just has enough to where you can get it to do basic things you're going to want it to do, I'll take that dog over the pretty dog that can't even go outside because it's afraid, chews on stuff, tries to eat socks, you know. hates being in a crate, has, separation anxiety, is, fear reactive, just all these different things. So it's just genetics really are the main proponent of all that. So
Yeah,
just depends on your lifestyle.
yeah, what you bring up there kind of reminds me of when I was a kid because for me, my lifestyle would be I eventually one day want to get that dog that's going to be able to go fishing with me, jump in the little tom like a John boat, go hunting some toms when it's
So
turkey
a lab.
season. You know what I mean? Like the dog that's going to be your companion in outdoor activities, but they
Yeah.
can still be indoors with your family. And it reminds me of when I was a kid, my dad got us, I don't even know how long we had this dog, maybe not even a month, but he got us a German pointer. And
Yeah.
the dog was, for being a bird dog, if you want to go pheasant hunting, duck hunting, epic dog, right? Train those things, they're amazing. But
Mike, you're not
dude,
in camera, by the way.
what's that?
You're not in camera, by the way.
I'm not in the camera?
No.
Really?
Yeah, you're cut in half. There you go.
How about now?
You're good now.
Was it like that the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like that dude where I've got a big booger and hanging out of my nose, and you like let me go the whole time.
Well, you got to pay attention. I don't know. Anyways, your GSP was great for bird hunting.
Yes, so great for bird hunting, but then it had so much energy and was always getting into mischief because they're kind of
Yeah.
driven by having like a job.
Yeah.
It killed a bunch of our chickens,
Yeah.
and like we just couldn't have the dog because my parents weren't the ones that are going to be hanging out with the dog. It was the dog would be in the backyard up to their own kind of mischief or
Yeah.
mischievous ways, and that dog didn't match. And now that I'm an adult where I can make my own decisions, it makes me think if I wanted to have a dog, like my dream dog would be a chocolate lab.
I was just
Because
about to say,
chocolate
for
lab,
what you just described, is it you want? Did you not hear me? I said lab when you were saying all that stuff.
well, yeah, I want a chocolate lab because the
Yeah.
labs are still great retrieving dogs. They like
Yeah.
water, they swim, they're driven by birds for
Yeah.
sure, but they're also lap dogs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And they
Like,
have theoretically they have a much better. I mean, your probability of getting a dog with a much better baseline than a GSP is astronomically higher. So GSPs are just they like you said they typically have something going on. I feel like there's always something hidden.
like neurotic.
Yeah, they typically have some sort of issue, which is weird for a dog. It's a bird dog, but for some reason I think the genetics are just getting kind of muddy and murky, and it's like they're like pointers, but they're also like afraid of their surroundings, which is a very odd combination.
That's
So
weird.
yeah, but yeah, a good set of genetics chocolate lab is pretty much what you just described to a T. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, even labs though, like people want a lab because like what you just described, but like when they're young, like they're a lot. Like
Oh yeah, they'll
they,
eat everything.
yeah, like people get labs because like oh they're sweet house dogs, but it's like they can be an absolute terror too.
Yeah.
They can. It just depends. Like I said, it's getting a dog is a complete shoot. You can get 2 championship. They've won every single award in Europe, bloodline, and you put those 2 dogs together, and they could spit out 9 just demons that have nothing in common with the parents. It's a total shoot. So it's hard. Dogs are very difficult. They need a
What's
lot
your
of
take on
work.
cats?
Not a fan. Not a fan. I will say this, and this is, if you're queasy or you don't like gorish things, then maybe you can just, pause or skip ahead. But as time as a cop, I did learn very quickly that if you die inside of your house, dogs oftentimes won't eat you unless really necessary. And sometimes they won't. Sometimes dogs have even laid down next to their owner and died with them because they love them so much. Cats, if you die in your house, a cat will eat your face within the first 12 hours of you being dead. They're not even hungry yet. And they start with your nose, and then they work to your eyes. And that's 100% of the time. Cats will eat you when you die. They don't care. They do not like you.
Freakishly scary, man.
They will eat you. And that is a fact that comes from someone who has seen a lot of dead bodies in their life. So that should tell you everything you need to.
You
That
just
should tell
ruined
you.
like 10 people's lives.
I'm just letting you know that should tell you everything you need to know about cats. Dogs, it has happened. I'm not going to say, because I'm going to be honest. It has happened where, a dog is like on the brink of death and they resort to that. But some dogs just lay down and die next to their owners. Cats, 0% of the time.
Cats will eat your dead face.
They're excited. They're happy when you die. They're like, thank you. A free meal. Start with the beak. Right there. Every time. And you can look that up. Take it to the bank.
All right.
So if you're a cat person, just know that little monster is walking around your house. When you hear the little creaks and like noises at night when it's walking around, it's just waiting for you to freaking...
It's like on your nightstand looking at you like, is he still breathing?
It's waiting. That's all they want. I don't even think they care. I think they really are just waiting around for their owners to freaking croak so they can get a free meal.
That is so gross. All right. Subject change.
I told you. I said I'm going to be honest. So if you don't like it, then...
Honest. It's a family-friendly show.
No. Family people die. So I guess they can just learn.
And your cats will eat your face.
Yeah. Small children out there, just know that your cat hates you and they'll eat you in your sleep.
You're
creating nightmares for people.
Oh, gosh. Well, hey, one thing that's exciting, I'm looking forward to this weekend being able to do a podcast in person so I don't have to use this weirdly shadowed, like, empty room in my house where I'm sitting in my camping chair.
Yeah, it'll be pretty nice. I think it'll go a lot better than us trying to live stream and you cutting half your face off for half the podcast for no reason.
How's it now?
It's good now. I mean, honestly, it was probably better with you not being in camera shot. We might get more views that way.
Oh. Wow.
I mean,
you're wearing a day too.
Well, you're wearing a Kings hat, so it's like you're not really helping us.
Kings won tonight. They beat Detroit.
Oh, I was just about to ask. I was going to say, for all the people who are, wondering why our podcast is late, it's because Mike had to. We had to wait for the Kings to lose, but apparently they won. So
the Kings will lose to the worst team in the league. Okay,
you can't lose to yourself.
They lost to the Washington Wizards last week. Listen to this. On the road, they beat arguably the best team in the league, for sure the best team in the East, the Cavaliers. They beat them on the road last night. Then had a back-to-back tonight against Detroit, who is no slouch. This year they're good. And they beat them in Detroit.
Good.
The Detroit Pistons?
The Detroit Pistons?
They're like third in the East, my man.
Well, it's the East.
They're a legit team this year.
Okay.
On a back-to-back. Hey, look.
Let me know when the Kings win a championship, and I'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a lot of podcasts before that happens.
Yeah, we'll be a couple seasons in. We'll be like episode. Should we take projections on what our episode of what number it will be that week on the week that the Kings win the NBA championship?
It's gonna say in the headlines of the paper, Doghouse Chronicles co-founder Mike Narandi dies on eve of Kings' first playoff experience in the year 2068.
He was found by local police after his cat ate his face.
Ate his face. But he still had his Kings hat on.
He did have his Kings hat on. Cat did want nothing to that, but did eat his nose off and freaking gouge his eyes out. And the Kings did win, in other news.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say we're episode 562.
Dang. Well, we better start doing 3 a days.
I was saying one a month. 562.
I was going to say breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No.
Follow along the lives of Jared and Mike.
I don't know how many weeks that is. I'm not good at math, but that's not soon, my guy. You're a math teacher. You're on the spot. What is that? 562. We're on week 5. So how many years is that?
That'd be 10, 12 point something.
Math teacher right there, folks. You got it. It's the answer is it's something. You got it.
Do you ever see that guy on Instagram, Roll Tide Willie?
Yeah.
He'll be like, I'm drinking this IPA, and they're like, Willie, what do you rate that? He's like, I rate that a negative AB7C4. The guy's hammered.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Guys, I feel bad for him. He's got these feet. His feet are so calloused on the bottom from walking with no shoes on that he'll smoke a ciggy and he'll put the cigarette out on his foot. Oh. And they're like, Willie, doesn't that hurt? and he'll be like kicking embers back into the fire with his feet, and he's like, I
Oh,
don't feel anything.
that's nuts.
That's either the Miller Lite that has consumed your body and liver, or the calluses, or a mixture of both.
Probably both. That guy rules.
Yeah.
It's a good way to go. Let's see. What did I? Oh, only bone I have to pick this week, just to change topics, is and it's pretty much like every day. I mean, it's not anything new. It's just driving a car. It's just I can't deal with it anymore. It's just we have to figure out how to get people to like
Off the road.
you got to take a driving test every so often, or like I don't know, because
Research.
it's so nuts, dude. Today I was at a light. First of all, I was behind this woman, or actually this was the other day. This wasn't today. Today I got almost rear-ended because a person was following me so close. But the other day, we were driving and I was behind this car and this woman was doing probably 15 to 20 miles an hour under the speed limit. And there's just like, by the time we get all the way down this road that's only one lane, there's probably 20 cars behind us. And it eventually splits into a straight lane and two turn lanes. So she gets into the far left turn lane and I get into the number 2 turn lane. So I pull up next to her just to see what malfunction
What
is
she
going on.
looks like, because you want to know.
What this malfunction looks like. Respectively, probably a woman who's maybe 136 years old driving this car. And so we're going and like we're in the 2 left turn lanes. And so we're turning, the light turns green. So we turn left and the people on, like, if you're looking, imagine an intersection, like you're about to turn left. It's a 4-way intersection. So the people on the left-hand side who were going, like, if we're going this way, the people that were going that way, their left turn lane to go like straight through our way, they had just had the green light. So like those 2 areas had the green lights. So that left turn lane to my left for those people was vacant. Our light turns green, and this woman turns and goes on the left side of the median and starts driving down the oncoming left-hand turn lane. I'm hoping that people can visualize what I'm saying. But like
Geriatric?
yeah, she turned left
Or
and instead of
hammered?
and went could be both. She could rule and just be a drunk grandma driving around. But and then all of a sudden I'm like, so I slowed down because I'm like, oh, I got to see what happens here. And eventually a car. So there's cars in the other straight lanes. There's nowhere for her to go. So she gets like probably 10 feet and realizes like, uh-oh. And then a car comes down that turn lane and they're just at a standstill. And there's nowhere for her to go. She can't turn left because there's cars there. She can't turn right because the median's there. And she's just facing the wrong direction on the road, trapped. Unfortunately, I had to keep going. I wanted to just like pull over and watch, but so that was one thing I saw. That was pretty fun. And then today I had someone tailgating me to the point where I was like, I can't even see the front half of their car. And so I looked ahead and I thought I saw a small child playing with a ball near the roadway. So I had to slam on my brakes really fast for safety reasons because I was afraid there was a small child up ahead. So that person almost, they had to slam on their brakes and they skid their tires. But I thought there was a small child up ahead, so I had to slam on my brakes. So it's unfortunate for
You
them.
had to check to make sure your brakes were working in case that small child ran out.
Well, yeah, I had to slow down. That small child, it ended up not being a small child. It ended up being a mailbox, but I thought it was a small child playing with a ball. Yeah, I thought it was a small child, so I was being safe, and I tried to dramatically slow down. And they were, unfortunately, they were really close behind me, and so they had to slam on their brakes aggressively. And, it was unfortunate that had to happen, but... and then, I have pretty much a new law that I want to put into effect, and I may run for office of who knows what. I want to make it illegal for any 18-wheeler or large truck to be in the left lane on it. In any freeway, any interstate. It is illegal for you to be in the left lane. Illegal. You can't do it. Unless there's...
When they pass another one, I love this on I-5. Dude, it bothers me so much.
Dude, it's
they come
out
up,
here. Dude.
And then they don't go past them.
Never.
And they drive right next to them for like miles and miles and miles. And you're like,
they're like, oh.
If you're faster, go past them.
No, they're like, oh, you're doing 60? Well, actually, I want to do 61.
Yeah.
And so that takes them freaking forever to finally, by the time they actually pass.
3 hours.
Yeah. But until they, unless the left or the right lane is completely blocked, like it's construction, or there's a cop pulling someone over, and so you have the move over law. But other than that, if your freaking tires go into the left lane, you should get, I don't know, $10,000 ticket, something like just respect, just something conservative. Because it drives me nuts. Because they'll cut you off too. You'll be driving like the speed limit, maybe a little over, maybe not, allegedly. And they'll be up ahead, and then they'll just cut you off doing 60. And you have to and you're like, what are you doing? And there's no reason for it. And you're like, what are you doing?
While
I
they're
get it.
kicking up rocks into your
Yeah.
windshield.
Yeah, every time. It's like, I get it. They're very important. They drive the economy. They deliver all of our stuff everywhere. I don't hate truck drivers. The job is probably very thankless, but like, you guys got to get out of the way. Get out of my way. I can't stand it. On a 2-lane interstate, you have no business being in the left lane ever. Ever. If you pull up and you're behind another 18-wheeler and they're going a little bit slower than you, you're going to ride it out. You have to stay behind them. Sorry. You will get where you're going. I promise you. Taking 25 minutes to pass them in the left lane we should not have to sit back and wait for that. You need to sit behind them. It drives me nuts, dude. I can't stand it.
Driving for you this week, you're getting all hot and bothered, I can see.
Yeah, it just every day something happens and you're like, what are you doing? I just
It's
watch
like-
people. It's like,
It's interesting because it kind of comes down to like common sense. I had a situation happen this week with Sophie. Went to the library to do some of her reading. It's actually really helpful to get kids into like a zone, an environment where they can actually do their work. That's not at home where they have their
sure.
everything is there to distract them from like flies on the wall to everything that you could think of distracts them. So we go, I don't know why this story is following me. We go to the library, and I've taught my daughter that when you go to a library, you are silent or you whisper. Like people are there studying. There was old people reading newspapers. You can imagine what that looked like. Actual paper newspapers.
They even
like,
print,
throwback. I loved
they
it.
print. They still print those.
They do.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
For all the old people.
It's cool.
So
I like it.
we go into the library and we're sitting there reading our books, and these two moms walk in with their kids, and their kids are clearly not of reading age, which I'm like, that's cool. They're going to cause a lot of like noise, but I don't want to be rude and say like, hey, maybe you should take your kids somewhere like a park right now because people are here doing library things like studying and reading. And these two moms sit down within probably 15 feet of me in the Scotts Valley Library, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, what the inside of that looks like. And they proceed to have the loudest freaking conversation between the two of them that I've ever heard in a library. And it took me right back to that doctor's office 2 weeks ago. And I'm just like, where is the little person in your head? I don't know if it's the common sense person, but like I must just have like this uncanny ability to understand and read social situations. Like, how do you get into a silent library? Like, it's a silent doctor's office, that's one thing. Like, maybe you haven't been there often, you've been to the doctor once or twice in your life, it's a new situation. I'll give you that. Libraries, why would you have... It was so loud that my daughter stopped reading. Sophie stops reading and looks at me and just goes, Dad, they're being loud.
That's when a small child tells you you're being loud, that's a problem.
But then here's another thing too, though. The conversation. So here's the best part. We hear this whole conversation, and I'm sitting here, first of all, going, you're super loud and inappropriate. And two, I don't want to hear your personal business. I have no interest in your challenged life that you have. And the one woman walks in and goes, hey, so how's your day going? And I'm hoping she's just like, oh, things are fine. But instead she goes, well, I have had a day.
No,
but it's a me problem, not a his problem. And I was like, oh, dude, we're about to air some dirty laundry in the middle of the Scotts Valley Library for everyone to hear. I can't focus on my book. They're behind me. Can't see their faces. And I'm just sitting there like in my mind going, what if I got up and walked over and just said, hey, could you please be quiet? It's a library. But then I'm like, they'll probably fly off the handle because they're tired moms with, toddlers. I didn't know what to do. So, Sophie's sitting there and she's like, I can't read. And I'm like, let's go. So I got up and left. And I was just like, I bring that story up because I feel like how do people not have common sense? Like, you should be able to identify when something's wrong.
Yeah, that was actually the other thing I wanted to bring up, but I didn't write down. That was literally it. So you just nailed it. Was people's social awareness. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
People have no
So,
social awareness ever. Ever.
okay, so I'm going to add to this. I saw a video. This is a sad story, kind of like your cat eating faces story.
It's
There
just the
was a
truth.
family, I think there were a couple of kids that were killed. They were on the freeway, and a some kind of either a sheriff's deputy or like a highway patrol lit them up, was going to pull them over on this dark highway, and they decide to just like so the patrol officer lights him up and then pulls over into the shoulder. The car literally stops in the middle of the freeway in the number 2 lane, dead stopped. And then the video from the dash cam, you just see this 18-wheeler just completely run the car over. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, you're getting pulled over, but how in your mind are you on a freeway and you think I'm just going to dead stop? And they didn't even, there was no even pulling over, like touching like a line. It was, they just were like, hit the brakes and they stopped in the middle of the freeway. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. And that speaks to situational awareness, kind of like we've experienced in our lives too with law enforcement. Like when I go places, I don't know if this is heightened because of my training and experience, but like I know when something's off with someone. Like I can see the
Oh,
danger
yeah.
happening before it happens. I'll be like, we're gonna leave. Or you'll see me walking with my family and I see something coming up ahead and I'll move my position from where I was standing next to my wife
Oh,
and I'll
yeah.
put myself in between what I perceive as danger and them. This happens all the time. They probably don't even realize it's happening. But
Oh, yeah.
I foresee this person. I'm like, wow, that person looks sketchy. I'm judging them a little bit by their appearance. Their movements are erratic. They look like they could be on something. They're tweaking out a little bit. I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, to be
you
fair,
know,
you're in California, so half the population is, on some sort of
hand
amphetamine,
sanitors,
amphetamine,
essentially.
or, yeah.
Yeah.
To be
So
fair, that's, I mean,
to
yeah,
be fair,
probably.
yes. But you can just sense when people are sketchy. But I feel like a lot of people, I don't want to ever go after victims because there's always that victim shaming. You don't want to victim shame. I get it. But like I do feel like some situations can be avoided by just a little bit of just kind of perceive or acknowledge what's around you. Like observe your surroundings. Like don't
People have
go into
no
an
idea.
area where like that could be unsafe.
No. I mean,
I
just my whole point was just walking around the grocery store or even like Home Depot. Like, just walking in any sort of public setting, people have no idea that they're just blocking entire pathways and they don't care. They have like no sense of like,
You're like,
oh, I should
excuse me,
probably move. Yeah.
can you move?
I stood behind someone with a freaking cart today for like 2 minutes. And I was like, and I was going to say something. And then in my mind, I was like, actually, I'm just going to stand here and see how long this
I
takes.
want to time this.
I
You're
did. It
like,
was like,
hey, bro, that took
it
you
was,
3 minutes and 8 seconds to get the
yeah.
hell out of my way.
Oh, I had a dog, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna put him in a sit. So I just had them sit the whole time. I was like, I'll just make this dog sit and keep it in a long sit, and just see how long it takes for this person to realize that they're blocking this entire pathway for everyone. Unfortunately, somebody else came up and was like had to go around them, and so they're like tried to like squeeze by him, and they're like, oh, sorry, am I blocking? It's like, yeah, your giant cart with your 2x4s that's crossways across the path is blocking the
Oh,
entire pathway. Yes, of course you're in the way.
you're triggering me because of my last Costco experience that happened last week.
Oh,
Here's
Costco's
another
the
thing.
worst. Costco
Okay,
people have
okay.
no rhyme. There's no rhyme or reason in Costco. People
No,
don't give a crap in Costco.
no. And is it just me, or is the common rule of thumb just like when you're driving? If you're walking down an
Yeah.
aisle with a cart,
Yep.
right and the
Right.
left.
Nope. Some people don't give a crap.
Well, no, but I'm saying that should be common knowledge. Like I'm
It
going
should be.
upstream, I go right.
Yep.
Downstream, I'm on the other right.
No, it's just both people go to the right. It's very easy. Go to the
Yeah.
right.
But here's what people do. This part kills me. So it's super crowded, right? And there's that, when you're in Costco, I'm sure they're all kind of set up the same way. You're in that one big aisle that goes down to the checkout area.
Yeah.
So like you're going down the aisle, if you're going towards like where the butcher is and all that, you've got stuff on the left, stuff on the right, but like the big main aisle.
Yeah.
And then they line up all the sample people along those end caps
Yeah.
that are on your right hand side as you're walking towards the checkout. And these people, like, it's so crowded that you're having to actively maneuver your cart so as not to run over little kids or hit old people in the back, because people don't even like look, they just stop when you're like behind them in the middle.
Yeah.
So this person, there's like not even enough room to, if we're both side by side, like even both people are going the right direction like this, these people were like, oh, sample. And they'll literally stop their cart too wide in the middle of the intersection. So I'm having to stop there and wait while they eat their sample, give their 5-star Michelin review on that Hot Pocket bite.
I was just about to say Mike, they need that Hot Pocket. I was literally just about to say that.
And I'm just seeing red. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, how? And it's so funny because I just get so upset because I'm just like, I want to shake them and just look them in the eyes and ask them, like, how do you not see?
I'm jealous of them, actually, the more I think about it. They might
Like,
live the perfect
they're
life.
just naive to the world.
Just ignorance is bliss. Like, can you imagine just being like, I'm never inconveniencing anyone ever. Like, everything I'm doing is correct. I'm living it. Like, everyone loves me. Like, I'm living life. Like, they probably think that life's fucking great. They probably live it.
This reminds me of The Matrix.
And they have no idea that everyone behind them is, like, about to blow a gasket. But they're
What
just
if
like,
we are the Matrix, man? What if we are the cheat code and we have figured out the simulation and we're watching all this happening and all these other people, they don't see it because they haven't taken the blue or the red pill yet?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we are heightened beings, man.
Yeah, but everyone that hears this would say the same thing. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I hate that," because it's that same old like thing where it's like when you're in a hurry, the person in front of you is going too slow and they need to get out of your way. But when you're not in a hurry, the person behind you riding your freaking bumper is a jerk. It's the
Get
same
the sweaty
thing.
armpits because you're just like so like.
Yeah, it's just But I mean, but the amount of low just social cues and just awareness that people have is insane. And you're just like, they're just I just look at them, I'm like, you're just a walking victim, dude. Like someone could just take advantage of you. They could just steal everything and you wouldn't even know. You have no idea.
Well,
unfortunately, it made us jaded. Career we originally chose.
Yeah, I agree. This actually brings up another point I wanted to talk about. So we come from the generation, I know we talked about the Morgan Wallen thing last week. I'm not going to get back into that again because I still stand by the fact that he did nothing wrong. No. But I was thinking about Saturday Night Live and I was thinking about comedy because I see a lot of the Key and Peele reels and those are pretty darn funny. But I think back to like probably early 2000s, late 90s with like even Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, who is it? Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have all these movies that came out. Like I can name off a bunch, like Superbad, Pineapple Express, Old School, Will Ferrell, like all these actors that had these funny movies at comedies.
Tropic Thunder.
Grandma's Boy. I mean, we can keep listing them. But that kind of like vulgar humor that everyone thinks about, but it's funny. Do you think that cancel culture with COVID stopped the ability for people to be able to laugh at themselves and have comedy? Because comedy movies don't come out anymore.
Yeah, I think Hollywood just won't make it because it will offend. If you make something that offends anyone, then you run the risk of being canceled out there. And once you're canceled out there, it's your career's done because you're canceled and you're out of the club. So I saw someone, I don't remember who it was. It was, God, who was it? It was an actor or someone, and they basically like described it to a T. They basically explained that there's those movies, they think there's a chance they could come back because that like the pendulum's kind of shifting. They said the way that it was going, they're like, you'll never see, those movies will never come out ever again. Those movies are done because those directors, you present anything that's offensive or has some sort of, you make a what people would perceive as a sexist joke or racist joke, race something. You throw one line in there, and then that whole Hollywood, whatever, LA is just like, oh, you're outcast in your career. So people don't want to risk their career over making a movie that might offend somebody. When in reality, those movies that were like borderline offensive, crude humor were like, for us, are just, those are the best movies ever.
And they actually,
They're
I will
hilarious.
argue, they break down barriers. I would
Yeah.
argue that if you can laugh at yourself, like I've had when I was in college, my roommate was black, right? And first of all, me even saying the word black, people are going to be like, ooh, like you didn't say African American. And I remember my buddy would be like, Mike, dude, don't call me African American. Call me black. I'm black.
Yeah.
You're white. And I'm like, cool. We're
Great.
good. Like, you're
Glad we
black. I'm
got
white.
that. Yeah.
But then, like, we'd watch shows and it'd be like a black guy eating watermelon. And we'd be like, haha, look at that. And he would laugh. And it's like
Yeah.
a white guy would do something and we'd laugh. And it was
Yeah.
like, together we're laughing at these stereotypes. We're not letting our feelings get hurt. And it actually broke down barriers in some ways and allowed us to kind of just like have witty banter and have like a kind of light, jovial time. And I feel
Yeah.
like once you demonize something and you're like, oh no, you can't even say that word, it like that actually builds walls
Yeah.
instead of breaks them down, if you know what I mean.
If you're like, if it's just comedy, then it's like, that's
Yeah, and that's what I
fine.
mean. It's comedy.
It's comedy. Yeah. It's like, it's meant to be a joke. It's funny. If you
Yeah.
can't take a joke, then don't watch it. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing with everything, is that people don't understand that they can just turn it off. You don't have to consume Instagram. You don't have to consume Facebook. You don't have to consume Twitter or X or whatever it's called. And it's like people calling for all this censorship and cancel culture. It's like, how about you just turn it off?
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it.
And we don't have to watch what you watch.
No, I don't. I don't.
It's
I don't watch
freedom
what
to
you
make
watch.
your
I
own
don't
choices.
care. Yeah.
That's being American.
If there's people that find it funny and oh well, sorry. It is what it is. It's like that's how it goes. You don't have to agree with everything. The world should not cater to you because you find something offensive. If you find it offensive, that's a you problem. Like you said earlier, it's not a him problem, it's a me problem, or whatever that woman's
Yeah, and
issue
you
was.
know what's funny? You say that though, because you can make the victim out of anybody. Like I
Yeah.
could argue that we're the victim because by you being offended, and not you, I'm just speaking to the you of the person we can't see.
Yeah.
You are offended by the crass humor or references to ideologies that you think are racist. But by you being offended, I'm no longer allowed to watch those movies because they're taken off the air. But now I'm offended that you think that your feelings are more important than mine. Like you can't speak for me.
But now
That's part of being an American.
But now they're a double. They're on their second line of offended. So they were offended, you were offended, and now they're offended squared. They're offended.
They're offended of my offendedness
Yeah.
of their offensive.
Yeah. So now, and then you're offended because they thought that they're offended that you were offended. So now you're on two, they're on two. So now it's even. But then they become offended that you questioned that their second offense. So now they're on offended three. You can play that game all day long. It's like, yeah, but you could say
So
the same
funny.
thing. It's
Just
the
gotta
whole,
laugh.
yeah, it's the whole argument about, I identify as whatever. It's like, if there's no rules to it, then I identify as whatever. It's like,
Bring
actually,
back
I
comedy.
identify as correct. And you have to tell me that I'm correct because I identify as correct. So, looks like
And let's
you're
make
SOL.
laws, enact laws that will require you to do so.
Exactly. Yes. You need to. I need to force language on you, so you need to refer to me as correct at all times.
Yeah.
So sorry, that's just the way I feel, and you can't tell me how I feel. So,
And that's
Isn't that tough?
interesting that you say that because oftentimes some of the rhetoric of people in certain political spheres use their feelings to guide their decision making, and they're trying to impose their feelings on you and saying that you should acknowledge the way I feel. That's kind of counterintuitive. Your feelings are your own.
if you're forcing someone to respect and feel the way that you feel, then you are the biggest martyr in the history of the world because you want someone to feel the way you feel. That means that you're literally taking away the way they feel.
Yeah. So is it the way that I
Makes
feel?
no sense. Yeah.
The way that I feel about how you feel about yourself? My feelings matter.
No, they don't. It's whoever's the loudest and whoever makes the biggest ruckus, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if I go out and I protest and I scream at the sky, then my feelings matter more, big guy.
I've seen. I won't get into this to bring up old topics, but I did see some funny images this past week of different different things that people have done to their Teslas, where like people will put on there like, "I'm a part of your community. Please don't vandalize my car." Like people are writing on the sides of their Teslas to try to deter people from
From
it. They're
drawing
just
this
kind of funny because
trying
it's
to
like a play on the whole thing. It's just
I mean
like
it's this is a, serious topic, but I mean like what from deter people from drawing the swaths or what?
no. So I think the one that I saw
'Cause, I mean
today,
that's what they're doing. They're drawing the freaking swastika on these cars, which
yeah,
is insane.
which
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
so how do you just think about this logically? I love how, and I'm not even getting political here. I'm just stating facts.
It's
Okay,
insane.
I'm just stating facts here. You've got a gentleman, regardless if you believe his political, whether he's conservative, liberal, whatever you want to believe. We know what he is. He's conservative. Okay, fine. But he is heading up a department of government efficiency where his role, I don't care again what your feelings are about it, the role is to cut and trim the fat of government spending,
You can't say
to
fat.
to eliminate unneeded spending that is causing our country to go further and further into debt, right? So
Well,
that regardless of whether you like the cuts he's made, that's just what they are there to do. That's like a textbook definition. He is somehow now a German Aryan who wants to eliminate an entire race of people based on their religion. Like how in your mind do you like he's Hitler and a Nazi? I'm just like you're just like throwing out any evil term. Like you might as well just call him a big poopy butt face and just be like, we don't like him. Like it makes no sense.
yeah, I don't even I literally don't even understand the jump. Like the jump to that is crazy. I'm like,
Because
how
he
did
has
that
an accent.